Hi, I'm Sarah Owens, and I will be covering the Think Aloud's reading strategy, which focuses on comprehension. So I'm going to be walking through an example in a little bit that would be used in a 6th grade language arts classroom. But first I'm just going to give you a description of what exactly the Think Aloud's reading strategy is. So as you have your students read a piece of text, you have them stop and answer periodic questions that you have written out for them. And the end goal of this strategy is to assist them in eventually generating their own questions as they're reading in the future. So this strategy makes students slow down a bit as they read so they can actually digest what they're reading. Students don't need prior knowledge to use this strategy, but one of the components of the questions that you could ask is to either draw from a personal experience or another text, so having something to relate to in that respect can be helpful. The skills that this strategy wants to teach students is that rereading sentences to understand them is not a bad thing, and if rereading doesn't help, you can read ahead to clarify what was already read or to look for context clues. So as a teacher, when you first use this strategy in the classroom, you should model it for your students first so they know what the Think Aloud process should look like when they're doing it. As an example, I'm going to read through the poem I Like to See It Lap the Miles by Emily Dickinson, and as I read it, I'm going to pose some Think Aloud questions along the way. So here is the poem. I like to see it lap the miles and lick the valleys up, and stop to feed itself at tanks, and then prodigious step. Okay, so at this point I'm kind of wondering what it is. The poet hasn't named the object or whatever it may be, so I'd want to make a guess. Like, is it a living thing or is this just a metaphor for something? So I'll keep reading and maybe I'll be able to answer this question. Around a pile of mountains and supercilious pier. I do not know what the word supercilious means. As I keep reading, could there be any context clues that might help me to figure this out? Or maybe I will just have to go look this up in a dictionary and use that to aid me in understanding the rest of this poem. So, in shanties by the sides of roads, and then a quarry pair, to fit its sides and crawl between, complaining all the while, in horrid hooting stanza, then chase itself downhill, and neigh like Boanerges. So, I think I now have the answer to my first question of what it is. If the poem is using the word neigh, I'm guessing that's probably a horse. So, then, prompter than a star, stopped docile and omnipotent at its own stable door. So then I might ask my student, the question, what did you picture as you read this poem? Did you have certain images in the first verse, and did they change from the beginning to end? Since we didn't know what it was, maybe we were picturing something that was entirely different than a horse, so I'd want them to kind of walk through the process of how they were actively engaging and thinking as they read through the poem. So once you've modeled this process a few times in your classroom, you can start to have your students do it independently. And I think it's beneficial to have hard copies of the reading so that you can allow your students to annotate directly on that piece of paper. And I think that makes it easier for the students rather than writing in a notebook and having that detachment. And I also think it's easier as the teacher to look at direct annotations and grade it. So I've also attached a corresponding rubric below for what an independent Think Aloud would be looking for. So you'd want your students writing about their visual responses, so what they're picturing as they read. You want them making connections to their own personal experiences, connections to other texts, predictions that they make as they go along, and then any moments of confusion and moments of understanding as well. And I liked this strategy because I think it lends the teacher a lot of flexibility in guiding their students' thinking. since the teacher is coming up with the questions, it can be used in any classroom. You can pick whatever you want. And this is also really adaptable to a differentiated classroom because you can adjust the level of difficulty for the questions, or if you think that your student is ready for this, you can have them generate their own questions as they go along, and that's more of what the rubric that I attached below would look like. So this has been the Think Aloud strategy. Thank you for watching.